Hi there, everyone. Hope you've had a great week. I want to do something a little unconventional. And I want to fast forward to Pesach, not to raise anybody's stress level, but I want to fast forward into the Haggadah for just a moment. In the Haggadah, there's a song we all love to sing. I think we all love to sing. Many of us love to sing. And that is Dayenu. The song in which we break down piece by piece different moments of joy in our people's history. And we say to God that if only you had done that and not the next thing, we would have still been happy. Dayenu, enough to give you thanks and praise you and to forever be grateful for what you've done. And one of the lines in Dayenu says, Ilu kirvanu lifnei Har Sinai. If you had just brought us to Har Sinai, velo natan lanu et ha-Torah, and you hadn't given us the Torah, dayenu. That would have been enough, that we just came to Har Sinai to be thankful and to be grateful. Now this is a really challenging line in the song, and I get it. There's a form to this song, and so we can't break that form. But what is it? Why would I not have said, maybe, had God brought us out of Egypt and not given us the Torah, dayenu? Or God gave us the man in the desert, but did not give us the Torah, dayenu. What is it that God brought us to Har Sinai, but wouldn't have given us the Torah? That's enough. What was so special about just coming to Har Sinai? That dayenu, it would have been enough. Enough to give thanks to God that He had brought us to Har Sinai. So Rav Mordechai Ilan asks this question. He was a Rav in the 20th century, and he points to a pasuk in this week's parsha that when the Jewish people arrived in the desert of Sinai, vayavohu midbar Sinai, vayachanu bamidbar, the Jewish people encamped in the wilderness. Vayichan sham Yisrael neged hahar, and Israel encamped in front of the mountain, in front of Har Sinai. And the Midrash, which Rashi quotes, says, what do we learn from the fact that the language of Vayichan is singular? Throughout the travels in the desert, and at least the way the Torah records it most of the time, it's Vayachanu, that they, the Jewish people, plural, encamped. Why here that the Jewish people in the singular encamped? So the Midrash, as I said, which Rashi brings, says, Ki'ish echad belev echad. We learn from this that the Jewish people at Har Sinai were like one person with one heart. But at all the other stops, Rashi points out, they had problems and complaints and this, and that's why it's Vayachanu, because they weren't together. I mean, they were physically maybe together, but they weren't together with one heart. And so Rav Mordechai Ilan says that when the Jewish people arrived at Har Sinai, and they were neged Har, and they were right there, right in front of Har Sinai, there was something else that was happening. They were on this very high level. And that was the madrega of being, quote unquote, he writes, Yisrael. They all viewed themselves as part of this entity called Yisrael. Derech Yishara Lahem. They had this amazing path that they were blazing, and they were all on it together. Lifnei Har Sinai, Lelo Kinah Hamafredet. Nobody was jealous of the other. They all experienced this together, and they were all going on this journey together to get the Torah. And so what Rav Mordechai Ilan teaches us is that the reason that just arriving at Har Sinai is enough to give thanks is because at Har Sinai we had a certain achdut, we had a certain unity that was special, that was worthy of looking around and being thankful. Whether we never got the Torah, whether God never went through with giving us the Torah at Har Sinai, doesn't take away that special, unique moment of being together and feeling like we are all in this together, supporting each other. And this idea of unity being a treasured experience is reflected as well in another midrash, which says that even when the Jewish people worship avodah zarah, worship foreign deities, afilu ovdim avodah zarah v'shalom beineim, but there is peace between the Jewish people. They are kind to each other. They're nice to each other. Yes, they're bowing down to idols. They're worshiping things that are so abhorrent and totally flying in the face of what it means to serve God. But they're nice to each other. They're kind to each other. They care for each other. They're running to help each other. Ein midat hadin yechala lishlot bahem. The midrash says that God's midat hadin cannot rule over them and cannot bring about strict justice when they are being kind to each other. It's not possible. That doesn't justify the sins that are happening. But what this midrash teaches us is the power of what it means to be there for each other. It means that we're, in some ways, impenetrable if we are perfectly there for each other. From enemies like, let's say, Amalek, and even from the midat hadin of God, the strict attribute of justice of God. May we all, just like the Jews at Har Sinai, before they even got the Torah, may we do our part in bringing about that level of unity, that we are ki'ish echad, belev echad, like one person with one heart. I wish everybody a Shabbat Shalom. Be well and stay safe.